my channel. This week I'm bringing you another Cook with G. But before we get started, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. Now today we are cooking from Glazed, Filled, Sugared, and Dip, written by Stephen Colucci. This is, if you couldn't tell, a donut cookbook. So I have one donut recipe in store picked out from here, and I'm pretty excited. This was a gift to me from someone who believed that I absolutely love donuts, and I do like donuts. But I think at the time when I was given this, I was in more of a donut craze. But we've got some cooking to do, so let's make some donuts. Okay, the recipe that I picked for today is gingerbread donuts. Now, it is in fact July, and I picked gingerbread because, well, I wanted bread. So let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna start by preheating our oven to 350 degrees, so let's do that. And if at any point you happen to see my pile of dishes behind me, just know that it exists because I've been filming a lot of quirky cookings, which if you haven't seen my quirky cooking videos, I'll leave some linked above or down below. But it's another cooking series I do, but they're YouTube Shorts or TikTok, other platforms, Instagram too. Sometimes I post them on there, but they're really fun. And I cook from older interesting cookbooks. So if that interests you, you should definitely check those out. But that is also the cause of my sink, so I've been cooking a lot lately. Okay, so it does say to use a stand mixer, and I don't own a stand mixer, so we're gonna use a bowl, and probably, it says to use a paddle, so I think a spatula should, yeah, this is a spatula. I think a silicone spatula should just be fine, and I'll just have to use a little elbow grease if I need to. But it's actually interesting that it says to use a stand mixer. I feel like sometimes they offer both in cookbooks, like both suggestions. I don't know. I just don't feel like, I guess maybe I haven't done too many baking ones, and the last time I baked was in Snoop Dogg's cookbook and he didn't say that I need to use a stand mixer. Okay, so we're gonna start with measuring out our flour. It's just 1 cup of flour. This recipe also makes 6 donuts. And I picked this recipe because you actually get to bake them. So, well, the same person who got me that cookbook also got me this donut tin, or donut baking tray with specifically 6 donut spots in it. So I thought this was a good recipe to use this very niche kitchen gadget that I have. But I was happy to bake them because I feel like they'll kind of be like more of like a muffiny or like cake texture. Which I really like cakey donuts. I don't always want a fried donut, which comment down below and let me know. Are you team cake donut, yeast donut, fried donut, zeppoli? What do you like? I think I prefer cake donuts most of the time. So hopefully these ones are a winner. But let's scoop our flour into our 1 cup measuring device. Okay, in goes our cup of flour. Okay. 1/4 of a cup of brown sugar, and this is dark brown sugar. Baking powder, baking soda, and then all of our spices. Okay, so for baking powder, we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay, now we do our baking soda. I have baking soda this time. I made sure to double check the recipe and that I had the right item. And I also got it in this handy dandy resealable container, so that way it should last me for a long time, because they turned out last time, but I was worried. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in my Snoop Dogg Cook with G, where I made cookies, chocolate peanut butter cookies, I in fact did not have baking soda, I only had baking powder. So I just followed some wives' tales on the internet. And they turned out pretty good. So it worked. And then it's just 1/4 of a teaspoon. Okay, going in. Okay, so that's 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then 1/2 teaspoon of ginger, 1/4 of a teaspoon of grated nutmeg. Grated? Aw, nuts. It says grated nutmeg. That means fresh nutmeg that you grated. I only have ground. I think it's gonna be okay. That's kind of rude. That's so annoying because there's nothing in the instructions that tells you to freshly grate it. It's just in the ingredient list. Do I use less of the grated or of the ground because it would be a higher concentration? I'll just use a tiny bit less. Like, I don't mind more spice. That's not gonna bother me. Oh, that's so annoying. I know it's like my fault, but come on. I feel like I was reading all the measurements. All they were ground, in the middle grated. It begins with G. It's a round, similar number of letters. And I feel like my brain just didn't even notice. Actually, I'm surprised that I noticed. Surprised I noticed right now. Okay, but then the last one is 1/8 of a teaspoon of ground allspice. Yes, well, I guess allspice is a spice blend, so you can't grate that. But I don't have 1/8 of a teaspoon, and this is the second time today where I needed 1/8 of a teaspoon. And I'm curious if, like, do spoon sets normally come with that? I'm just gonna do half of 1/4 teaspoon, so that should be a-okay. And we just need to add our salt. Okay, salt going in. Just says to mix that all together. Okay, but like it smells so good. I don't know, Christmas in July is a thing. So you know what? Gingerbread in July is now a thing for me. I am a seasonal person though. Like I do like having things at certain times of the year when they just like feel, you know, most appropriate or things like that. Make you, you know, feel in tune with the season. But I just love all of the spices that are in gingerbread or around the fall. Okay, so now we're gonna add in our wet ingredients. So let's start with 1 large egg. Please don't get any shell, please don't get any shell. Okay, 1/4 cup of sour cream going in. 2 tablespoons of our liquids and 2 tablespoons of our sweeteners. So 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'm using avocado and it's a neutral oil with no taste or no flavor really, so that should be fine. 1. I keep like double checking. That's like the difference between baking and cooking for me, is that with baking I'm always so nervous because it's hard to undo. You don't really know if it's gonna taste all right until you have gotten the product out. I know sometimes you can taste batter, especially if there's not really any raw ingredients or any threat to tasting it, but I always get worried because like I said, there have been just so many times where I have read the ingredients wrong. Okay, 1 tablespoon of honey, and then 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. So now we get to mix. And our batter should start to come together. I'm also curious, if you've watched a couple of these videos, have you looked into getting any of the cookbooks that I have shown? Have you learned anything? Or do you watch these just because they're fun? I have a lot of fun making these. I kind of use them as just, like I've said, like a way to just learn more about cooking in general. And I feel like that has just been such a blast for me because I end up making a lot of things like gingerbread donuts that I just like don't know if I would have made on my own. Okay, so the next thing we're doing is interesting because it says that they actually want you to pipe the donuts into the donut tray, which I think is interesting because I would have just expected you would have been able to kind of like spoon it in. But I think what they're saying is it'll kind of make it a little bit easier and even because if you don't do it right, it could end up as a muffin, which again, I'm not here for looks, I'm here for taste. So it's okay if it, you know, isn't perfect, but I'm gonna do my best. But they said if you don't have a piping bag with a tip on it, that you can just do the trick of taking a plastic bag and snipping the end. And this is my reminder, as always, to get yourself some kitchen scissors. These are my small version. You guys have only seen my bigger version. So they come in handy. So we're just gonna put our batter in there. I also do not think you need to get your stand mixer out. So like, even if I had a stand mixer, I feel like if I was to make this recipe again, I don't think that I would necessarily try and get a whole stand mixer out, because this did not take me that long to mix. I mean, granted, maybe I'm missing something and that it knows how to do something I don't know how to do. Now, we're just going to get our bag, kind of just get to this point where it's starting to come out and you're able to squeeze. Okay, so 2 tablespoons per mold. So we're gonna go conservative for the first attempt and see how we do. Okay. How do you like... All right, that feels pretty good. Oh, come off. Okay. This is making me want to watch like Cake Wars. I still love watching those like intense cake decorating shows. I mean, I still do. I watch British Bake Off, which is like basically the same thing. But they're so fun and so cool to like see how artistic people can be with food. This one is feeling a little sparse, but there's still more in the bag, so you never know. Okay. Let's see. All right. I don't know. I might have put a little too much. Let's see if I can get out what's left in here. Oh, shoot. Okay, so the last one's a tiny bit sparse. I feel like it's okay. I'm not gonna go and mess it up and pipe more because, or like take some from each because it says to pipe it in and I'm just gonna live with my consequences. And if they don't come out as, you know, if there's no hole in the middle, I think it's okay. That is the last thing for right now, right? Look like muffin. Okay, and we're gonna bake them for 10 to 12 minutes until they spring back when they're lightly touched. So let's take our donuts and put them in the oven. Oh, I'm so excited. They smell delicious. They're definitely not as dark on the top, I feel like, or in the photo, but I took a little peek and I think that what was like closer to the pan got darker. See, like, this is so interesting to me. So like, look at the bottom. It's nice and dark and then the top is so light. But there is another step that we're gonna do, which is that we're gonna make a glaze while these cool. I'll admit they do look pretty good, but it's kind of funny because the ones that like, they're clearly like these two right here had too much batter because, you know, there's basically no hole. But they still turn out fine. Now let's see. I think this one had the right amount of batter. It might not be like perfect, but I feel like it's the most donut-like. This looks good. Now this poor guy, I feel like this doesn't have it's definitely more of a ring. That's okay though. And we're gonna make our gingerbread glaze. Now, if there's one thing I learned about glazing from all of the years of my mom making cookies at Christmas time and teaching me things about baking here and there, it's that I cannot do that while they're warm. They have to cool first. Otherwise, it's just going to slide right off and melt. So I'm gonna hope that they cool in a timely manner. But let's make the glaze while that is there. So I need 1 cup of confectioner's sugar going in. So let's do 2 tablespoons of whole milk. 1, 2. Ginger. Going in. I do feel like the photo in the book is a little misleading because they make them look so much like gingerbread tone, and I feel like the bottom is like gingerbread color, but I still feel like it's not to the point where they just very much don't look like the picture right now. And I'm not confident that this glaze is going to give them that, you know, perfect color. I guess maybe from the cinnamon. But it doesn't matter because, like I said before, it's not about looks, it's about taste. So as long as they taste good, I'll be happy. Okay, so let's whisk this all together. Okay, I think this looks perfect. We've got our glaze. Okay, I think they're ready to be iced. So I'm just gonna go with the dipping method. I do feel like I'm gonna get icing or glaze all over my countertop, but I think that I'm just gonna have to roll with that. So let's just dip it in, do a little twirl. Oh my gosh, okay, that is a little more. Definitely. Okay. Okay, I'm so ready. I'm very excited. This is what the final product looks like. So this one, you can see there's some icing coming through. There's a little bit of a hole, but there's more of just a suggestion of where a hole is supposed to be. So let's give it a bite. Okay. It's a classic cake donut. Icing is really sweet. Ooh. The gingerbread flavor comes through really well. I might have cooked it like a tad bit too long. I took it out at 10 minutes, tested it. Felt like the color, because I didn't really realize that the color was like really gonna only be on the bottom, felt like it needed like another minute or two because it said 10 to 12 minutes and maybe I left it in like a tad bit long. I still think that it's really moist, but I feel like maybe I dried it out a tiny bit, but there's still, the flavor is still pretty good. It's subtle. It's not the most strong gingerbread flavor I've ever had, but I think it's good. I also like that the sweetness is really coming from the icing. These are good. Definitely like a little drier than I'd like, but I was happy that I was able to actually use my donut pan. So I'm curious how, would you buy a donut pan? Do you like donuts enough that you would be interested in making them at home? I'm also like, this could be a good loaf, maybe? Like what? Because like muffins are just like small cakes. Like, so could you just make a muffin recipe in a loaf pan? There's gotta be something, there's gotta be a difference, right? Right? I think so. But Enough of all this rambling, because that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up so that way we can keep on growing. And I will be sure to catch you next time. Bye! I'm gonna go finish this.